Hello and welcome back to Sports Night. I'm Hallie DeVore alongside Lawrence Price, and we're super excited to be back for another week, catching you guys up on everything Northwestern sports.
Yeah, Hallie, I'm excited. I know you're excited. It's week 2, and it's Sports Night
Right now. Welcome back to Sports Night. Lawrence, I'm so excited that we're finally back in our little miniature studio here. I know this is your first time here. How are you feeling about it?
I'm feeling great, Hallie. I know, like you said, it's my first time here. The school year's almost over, but it's never too late. And let's not waste much more time. Let's jump right into the softball team's latest trip to Iowa.
Last weekend, the Northwestern softball team took on a 4-game series against the Hawkeyes in Iowa City. Let's take a look at how it all went down. Northwestern started out this 4-game series with a big day in Iowa on Friday. The Cats would win this one 7-0 with a solo homer by Rachel Lewis in the first inning and a strong last 2 innings for the Cats with 3 runs in the 6th and 3 runs in the 7th. But the highlight of this game for sure is pitcher Danielle Williams closed out a perfect game. That is right, a perfect game with no runs, no hits, no errors, and no runners left on base. That's the 5th time in program history for that to happen, and the first 7-inning perfect game for Northwestern softball since 1984. You could see there the team super excited for Williams. That is a tough game to follow, but heading on to that doubleheader Saturday, the Cats could keep that winning streak going, closing out their first game with a score of 9-7. Definitely a closer battle than the game on Friday, but a big 6th inning for the Cats with 5 runs would give them that lead and the win for that one. Also later on Saturday, the Cats would take another dub with a final score of 7-4 to keep that streak going. However, on Sunday, the Cats fell 2-5 to the Hawkeyes. Lindy Milkowski from Iowa hit a homer with the bases loaded for a 4 RBI that Northwestern could never quite recover from in the bottom of the first inning. Angela Zedak from Northwestern had 2 hits and 2 runs and 2 at-bats with a home run in the second inning, but it just wasn't enough. Northwestern would lose this one but win the overall series 3-1. And this coming weekend, the Cats are back on the road to Ann Arbor to face off in another 4-game series against the leaders of the Big Ten Conference, Michigan. Now we're tossing it over to Lawrence and Nathan Ansell to analyze last week's softball performance.
Here to chat with me today about some Northwestern softball is Nathan Ansell from the Daily Northwestern. Nathan, how's it going?
Doing pretty well, Lawrence. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So let's jump right into the swing of things. This past weekend, the 21-7 Cats traveled down to Iowa to face the 15-13 Hawkeyes, winning 3 out of their 4 games, including a Danielle Williams perfect game. So Nathan, how were they able to bounce back after a losing series against Minnesota?
Well, Danielle Williams not only had a performance for the ages on Friday, but she performed phenomenally throughout the entire series. She pitched 2 more perfect innings in the first game on Saturday, and then another 5 shutout innings before Iowa finally got on the board against her. She's currently 2nd in the Big Ten in wins, and her career against Iowa dating back to 2019, a 1-hit shutout, a 2-hit shutout, and then the perfect game, as you mentioned. The team is also a defensive powerhouse. They lead the Big Ten in fielding percentage at 0.983, which is top 5 in all of Division I, as well as leading the Big Ten in on-base percentage by a large margin. And at the plate, several Wildcats had great weekends. Rachel Lewis led the team with 7 hits. Morgan Newport had a hit in every game. Angela Zedak had 4 extra base hits, including 2 home runs. Maeve Nelson went 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs in the 3rd game of the series. So at various times throughout the series, to get that type of offensive production from across the lineup rather than just from 1 or 2 women, absolutely crucial. And as you mentioned, a disappointing performance against Minnesota, but the Bats certainly woke up during this series.
Well, it was clear that they got it done on both sides of the ball, hitting and pitching, and they averaged around 8 runs per win this past weekend. So Nathan, who was one player that was a very hard out at the plate that was just hot?
There's numerous ones to pick from, but I'm going to go with Rachel Lewis. Like Morgan Newport, she got at least one hit in every game in the opener. Lewis went 4 for 4 and was a double away from hitting for the cycle. Probably could have gotten the cycle. Her last hit was a single in which she reached second, but it was only ruled a single. She leads the Big Ten in runs scored, second in on-base percentage, third in total bases, top 5 in numerous other categories. I spoke to Coach Kate Drohan on Tuesday. She said the exact same thing. She called Rachel Lewis's performance over the weekend, quote unquote, dominant. At one point, she took an errant ball to the chin. Her chin was split open. She just put a little piece of tape on it as if nothing happened, went back onto the field. That's just such toughness. And as I mentioned, all those hitting stats, she was great on defense as well, considering that, Northwestern was great across the board. It takes a star to really shine on the defensive end. She was noticeable in the infield too.
Now, going into their next matchup, they arguably have their toughest series coming up against the number 1 team in the conference, Michigan, and they lead the team in ERA and batting average. Nathan, what are they going to have to do to get it done?
Yeah, Michigan's an incredibly tough team. They've yet to lose at home this season. I already mentioned Danielle Williams with the second most wins of the Big Ten. Michigan's Alex Storako at 13-2 is first. Among pitchers with multiple appearances in the NCAA, she leads the nation in ERA with an 0.41. She's an absolute buzzsaw. The Cats need to find a solution to her. Storako is right-handed, so maybe that solution comes with emphasis on Northwestern's left-handed hitters and use Morgan Newport, Denise Supley, maybe getting players like Hannah Cady some at-bats. Northwestern also needs to limit Michigan's offense as well. In 3 of Michigan's 4 losses this season, the Wolverines have scored 2 or fewer runs, and you really can't afford to get into a shootout with this team. As well, Michigan leads the conference in home runs with 32, more than 10 between them and Northwestern. So it may be a sign to get a bit more conservative pitching at times, particularly if there are runners on second and third anywhere on the base path.
We know it's going to be a marquee matchup this weekend between Northwestern and Michigan. Nathan, thank you for joining me. It was a pleasure. Now back to the studio.
Northwestern baseball took on another 3-game series at home this past weekend against Indiana. Let's check this one out. Northwestern baseball was back for another week at home against the Indiana Hoosiers at Rocky Miller Park last weekend. The Hoosiers looked like they held the reins for the majority of this game. Top of the 7th inning, the score was 5-0. But finally, that Rocky Miller Park magic started kicking in for the Cats in the bottom of the 7th inning with a single from Leo Kaplan and Anthony Calarco and a double from Steven Rustich. These plays earned Northwestern 4 runs in the bottom of that 7th inning, making it look like Northwestern might have an opportunity to get back in this game. However, they just couldn't get any other runs through, and the Hoosiers would take that close win 5-4. For day 2, freshman Vincent Bianchina had a day with 2 home runs in the bottom of the 2nd and the bottom of the 3rd. Right here, Anthony Calarco hits a double to center, bringing Leo Kaplan in from first to score. Top of the 4th, Northwestern is up by 4. Tyler Van Pelt from Indiana hits a home run to get things going for the Hoosiers, and they're able to catch right back up and put themselves in that game. Bottom of the 8th inning, a single by Ethan O'Donnell and another single by Anthony Calarco will bring in a combined total of 3 runners, with the 4th coming in from a pass ball, which will give Northwestern the lead and win for this game. A huge win 8-5 against one of the best teams in the Big Ten. That had to be exciting for Northwestern. Now coming out for day 3, hoping for that series win against the Hoosiers, the Cats just cannot get any runs through. Only 2 hits in the whole 9 innings by Anthony Livermore and Leo Kaplan, but no major plays are made from those hits. The Hoosiers are able to get some guys in and take this win 4-0 and also take the series win against Northwestern. The baseball Cats are hitting the road again this Saturday to face off in a 4-game series against number 4 Iowa and number 5 Maryland.
We're going to look at what I like to call the big flies, the moonshots, the bombs, or what most people call the home runs. Let's check out this past weekend's from the baseball and softball series. Let's get things going for softball. First game, first inning of the series. Number 11, senior second baseman Rachel Lewis starts the game out with a bang. And now the left-handed hitter Morgan Newport said she wanted to get on the action. She gives the Cats a 4-0 lead in the top of the 6th inning, down 7-1. No big deal for Maeve Nelson. She gives this one a ride. She gets her 3rd home run of the season. And the Cats weren't done just yet in the 5th inning as Angela Zedak, the sophomore left fielder, comes up and hits a missile over the right field wall. She hit the ball well this series, and she's back up, and she said, let me get one more. 3-2 count bomb to deep left center field for her in the bottom of the 1st inning.
Now we're on to baseball. The lefty first year, Vincent Bianchina hits a rocket 2-0 count deep right field to get the Cats on the board in their Saturday game. And why not make it two? Bianchina sends another one out, same place as his first one in the previous inning, his fifth of the year, and he accounted for the only home runs for the baseball Cats this weekend. Don't forget to tell us what your favorite home run was in our most recent Twitter poll.
At Northwestern, we're Wildcats in every way.
Cheer you all the go. Go you Northwestern, fight for victory, sweet victory, for the fame of our fair name, and go Northwestern, win that game. Go Cats!
Welcome back to Sports Night. Lawrence, we've covered baseball, we've covered softball, and all the dingers of those games and in between. What is next for us tonight on Sports Night?
Well, Hallie, let's look back at the fall where the Northwestern football team had a great season. They made it to the Big Ten Championship and won their bowl game against the Auburn Tigers. And they got it done on both sides of the ball, especially on defense, what they were known for in the country. And speaking of defense, cornerback Greg Newsome was one player that really handled his business. He's a first-round projected prospect in the upcoming NFL draft. And let's now kick it over to Tyler Haskins, who is himself a defensive back for the Northwestern Wildcats, who is now going to look at Newsome's game.
Hey everyone, I'm Tyler Haskins. Welcome back to another installment of Draft Wrap. This week we'll be previewing Northwestern's very own defensive back Greg Newsome and evaluating his draft stock ahead of next week's NFL draft.
When you talk about Greg Newsome, you talk about the ultimate competitor, man. I mean, this is a guy who's battled injuries throughout his career, but has found a way to come back better and better each time he steps foot back on the field, and decided to opt out of the bowl game after the season and get ready for the NFL draft. Seems like he made the right decision as he went out and ran a 4.38 at his pro day back in early March, and he seems like he's rising up everybody's draft boards throughout the offseason. So we'll take a look at some clips and see why this might be the case. Now here, Northwestern's got a big matchup against Wisconsin, and you'll see Newsome at the bottom of the screen. He's in press man coverage on the receiver, and anytime you press as a DB, you're trying to get hands on the receiver early, try and disrupt the route, throw off the timing for the receiver and the quarterback. So at the snap of the ball, Newsome's going to try and get some hands on. The receiver does get him to open up his hips the other way and then release back outside, but Newsome just flips his hips real smoothly, gets hip to hip with the receiver and breaks on the ball, makes a great interception, and the Cats are going the other way. Now in this clip against Michigan State, you'll see the receiver has a lot of space to the field up at the top of the screen. Now Newsome is playing the off-man technique on the receiver, and he knows there's a lot of space, so he's going to be pretty careful out there with his leverage. The receiver is going to try and take advantage of this by running a double move route with the out and up. Newsome drives on the out, but he tries to take a collision course to the receiver, meaning he tries to go right to the receiver where he can collide with him and throw him off his timing of the route. When he sees him go back vertical, gets hip to hip with him and recovers, and goes to make a play on the ball for the pass breakup. Now, as a defender, and especially as a DB, you got to be able to tackle, and you got to be able to make open field tackles at that. So we'll see in this clip here against Purdue. Now, the motion man is going to come across pre-snap. Snap of the ball, the quarterback can't find anybody, so he's going to check it down to the motion man in the flat. You'll see Newsome, he's playing as a squat corner, so as a flat force player out there in the perimeter. And he sees the ball thrown, breaks down, closes the space between him and the ball carrier, and makes a great tackle, and this was going nowhere. Now, anybody who knows Greg knows that he's the ultimate gamer and the ultimate competitor. Any team that gets this kid is going to get a heck of a football player.
That'll do it for this edition of Draft Wrap. Tune in next week where we preview Northwestern offensive tackle Rashawn Slater. Once again, I'm Tyler Haskins. Thanks for joining us.
The Northwestern Field Hockey Cats closed their regular season finale this past week against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's see how they did.
After winning Thursday's game 2-1, the 9-4 Northwestern Wildcats returned to the Lakeside Field Saturday at noon against the number 2 ranked Iowa Hawkeyes.
From the jump, it was a battle between the goalies, senior Florine Markison for NU and Grace McGuire for Iowa. The two had 5 saves in the matchup and nearly gave up 0 goals through 3 periods. But late into the third, Northwestern capitalized after an Iowa substitution forward Benta Bakers took matters into her own hands, making a move on the Hawkeye defender and scoring her 10th goal of the season. Bakers led the team in goals last year and is doing the same thing this year. And after the goal and first-year Annabelle Skubich save, the Cats were able to hold on to their 1-0 lead and now look to keep the momentum going into the Big Ten tournament versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights.
From Lakeside Field, Northwestern defeats Iowa 1-0 to conclude their regular season on Senior Day. But it was sophomore Bente Bakers with a lone goal in the third quarter to put Northwestern up for good. The Cats will be back in action this coming week in Iowa City for the Big Ten Conference Tournament Championship. For NNN Sports, I'm Davis Johnson. Back to you guys.
And now I'm super excited because I get to talk about what I'm most passionate about. Lawrence gets to talk about what he's most passionate about. This is our newest segment, Anchor's Choice. So Northwestern field hockey this past week came out with a 2-game sweep against the number 2 nationally ranked Iowa Hawkeyes. This win moved Northwestern up in the rankings to number 5 nationally. Bente Bakers scored 3 goals against this number 2 nationally ranked team, which is crazy. And I know Northwestern lacrosse has been getting a lot of national credit recently, which is well deserved because they have an undefeated season right now. However, I do think heading into their Big Ten play, Northwestern field hockey deserves just as much credit.
For my Anchor's Choice, I'm going to talk about the incredible season by the women's tennis team. After last weekend, the Cats ended up 17-4 on the season, number 7 in the country, and tied for second in the Big Ten. In their first 20 games, the team had the highest win percentage in program history since the 2008-2009 season. Sister sophomore Christina Hand and first-year Clarissa Hand combined for a record of 24-5, and as the season wraps up, the team prepares for the Big Ten tournament April 30th. Now for a Sportsnight Classic, Plays of the Week.
And finally at number 3, junior Anthony Calarco hits a double to bat a runner in and put another runner on third in scoring position in a close game against Indiana, making the score 7-5 in the bottom of the 8th inning.
For number 2, we look at field hockey's Benta Bakers. She steals it from one defender, makes another defender miss, and scores the goal. The Cats went on to win this game 1-0 against Iowa in their regular season finale.
Easily at number 1 this week, pitcher Danielle Williams, like I said, pitched a perfect game Friday night against the Hawkeyes, making that the 5th time in program history that has ever happened.
Thanks for watching Sports Night. For Hallie, DeVore, I'm Lawrence Price. Follow us at our social media at NNN Sports. Thanks for watching. See you next week.